Well, thank you, Chairman, and thank you for the panel for being here today. Talking about rare earth minerals, you have laid out just a stark intel brief on what we face right now. We highlighted here that China now refines 85 to 90% of all accessible rare earth minerals. They control 90% of the magnet production, 80% of battery production, owns or influences the majority of foreign mines owned in the United States. And it's not just the rare earth minerals, it's critical minerals. Things from the F-35 fighter jet here in the United States that require 920 pounds per fighter of rare earth minerals just to be successful, all the way to the fertilizer that helps grow things in my home state of Iowa. Now, whether you're a fighter pilot or a farmer, this is some grade A bullshit. We know that the Chinese have the ability to not only control it, but cut it off when they want. The challenge that I think going forward, and my colleagues from the Midwest have pushed forward, is being able to identify critical elements that we can have here in the United States. First and foremost, we were successful with the Trump administration moving forward both potash and phosphates, components critical for input costs for fertilizer. Not only being able to provide our own food supply, but driving down costs for consumers. We built our entire society around these fundamental resources, and when they are cut off, we don't have a backup plan. Now, one of the things that we have known that has been successful is that we need a strategic reset, and it was mentioned by both my Democratic and Republican colleagues here, an opportunity to go back to that World War II mentality of a whole-of-nation approach. This year, we're going to be looking at the Defense Production Act, ways that we can aggressively get after competing with Chinese state-backed subsidized ownership and competition in this space. And while it was passed in the 1950s, it provides the United States the ability to have a strategic engagement against China in these critical areas. The facts are bleak. China is beating us and controlling the entire market, but nothing can outpace or outperform America's ingenuity or innovation in these space. I want to thank our panel for being here and get to the facts of this. Now, Mr. Stauchester, you and your company have worked with the administration in using the Defense Production Act to help prioritize a couple of things. Let me ask this. Has it helped your company move faster and be more competitive against China?
Absolutely.
Has it helped production outpace increase in a way that you wouldn't have been able to do on your own?
Yes.
With the new DPA coming up, do you believe that there's a requirement here for rare earths to be prioritized in America's national security strategy?
Yes.
And specifically, does the DPA allow you to compete with a state-backed Chinese entity that has both companies as well as government-owned entities?
It's certainly a helpful tool in competing.
Very good. I'd like to know a little bit here on how the U.S. measures could successfully decouple with DPA from China and decrease our reliance on China's production of critical minerals. You've got some great examples.
Sure. You know, the Defense Production Act was first invoked for rare earth materials, I believe, in 2019, correct, along with a series of presidential determinations, and it's been used in the past 3 administrations to help build up our domestic capabilities to refine rare earths. We received our first award. It was a very small one. We were a much different company in 2019. And then received 2 more awards in 2020, and that resulted in a little bit of capital investment alongside a lot of private capital from us to bring the separation facility that is now online at Mountain Pass, the one I referenced in my remarks. It is now online. But it wasn't just the capital. I think at that time it was relatively small. It was $10 million relative to a $200 million plus investment. It was the signaling power. We were going public at that time. The U.S. government essentially said this is an important national security project. I think that does sort of signaling power helps to unleash the private markets, the private capital markets, which are something I think we should all endeavor to unleash. And so I do think DPA is incredibly important and has been throughout our history.
Mr. Evans, I'd like to speak with you a little bit as well. You've worked on the lithium side, such a critical component to our future going forward. Is there an ability for the United States to actually be able to compete against China? And what other tools would you recommend that we do to help secure lithium as a future for the U.S.?
Yes, we actually have a lot of lithium in this country in different forms. In the basin of Nevada, which we're at, which we've done measurements and drilling, and it's the largest in the world. Also in Arkansas and Texas, the Smackover Formation also has lots of promise, and there's another project there that is going to be great. Difficulty for up front for us, we've had to compete through market peaks and market troughs. And I want to recognize General Motors as well. They've invested nearly $1 billion in us early on, and they've stuck with us through this project, along with Orion Finance, which the government has chosen actually to work with the Department of War to invest offshore. But it's very, very important that we have a level playing field here. Pricing is key. Look, the government at the end of the day shouldn't have to pay for all of this. But the signals and the data have been completely hijacked by the Chinese. The London Metal Exchange, which this committee identified, is actually controlled by China, which is actually a surprise to me. All the pricing data for rare earths, for lithium, and for a lot of these other minerals that we've been talking about are defined by China. The financial community uses that for their investment decisions, and it dissuades investment. The Chinese, on the other hand, have been shopping around, even in the face of pricing declining, in some cases in our industry, 80% after a peak, and are still buying assets in Africa, in Latin America, all over the world, because it's a long-term play. And the pricing and the market is controlled basically by the government, but also by collusion with CAT, BYD, and others to suppress any further development. When pricing peaked in this industry at $80,000 a ton, I think the committee recognized that there was 2 meetings when pricing went up, and you saw an immediate decline, which has lasted for 3 years. Now it's going up because they can't control it, because the issue that China has, and we have as well, is power. So we're dealing with trying to expand our grid and with adding more capacity. Capacity takes time, building nuclear power plants, twin cycle gas turbines. What's happening right now, and the highest growth in this sector, is actually putting in battery banks of 2 to 10 hours to be able to deal with peaks in communities. Typically 6 to 10 p.m. at night, you come home, you have to have a peaker plant. The batteries are turned on for 2 to 10 hours, whatever that's needed, and they're recharged during the day. It's going to grow 50%. So we're competing now not only on consumer applications and defense applications, but the very core kitchen table issue we have is electricity in this country and power.
Mr. Evans, you're absolutely right. This is a 40-year campaign. The Chinese are using economic warfare against us. Luckily, the resolve is right here in the United States. We have the opportunity to stand up and fight back today. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield the remainder of my time.